The Shark Deck.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Late night back for like one night, and already the jokes have fallen off a cliff. I went through all the recaps. The only one I really liked was about Donald Trump's Truth Social post, referring to late night hosts as low-rated creeps of late night television and true losers. Stephen Colbert said, "Thank you for watching, sir, but I'm not surprised. He's a 77-year-old white guy. Of course he's watching CBS." That was it. Let me flip the order around today and start with an article that I just haven't had time to get to this week because it's been such a busy week, but it's a pretty major article from Vulture. The comedians you should and will know in 2023, 25 comics who industry insiders predict will be tomorrow's superstars. Vulture writes, if you live in New York, LA, or Chicago, or you don't, but you do spend a lot of time on TikTok, you're well aware that there are almost too many talented comedians you should know, sketch groups, stand-ups, and people making weird animated videos or singing funny songs in their apartments. It's harder than ever to predict which of these performers will end up being a big deal, and which of them are just people the algorithm has assigned to you in particular. Vulture says these are the comedians you will know because they're creating all kinds of weird and wonderful work while introducing a range of new perspectives and sensibilities to the art form. Vulture polled more than 100 industry insiders, including bookers, producers, artistic directors at theaters, talent scouts, TV executives, heads of podcast networks and comedy record labels, comedy photographers, and previous comedians you should and will know. More than 200 comedians, duos, and groups got at least one vote, but here are the 25. I'll do the overview today. In the upcoming weeks, I'll look at some of the breakouts that Vulture did. In alphabetical order by last name, Fumi Abe. In his stand-up, Abe rings gold from his internal contradictions, bringing sex jokes down to earth by inevitably focusing on the unsexy details. Bro humor is a fine line to walk, and Abe has mastered the ways to make it work by infusing his anecdotes with vulnerability. He has a new podcast, Cash Cuties, in which he puts his analytical streak and friendly but brutal honesty to good use, reading and judging his comedian friends' credit card statements. That's fun. Brian Bahi, I caught him at New Faces. In one story where an Asian woman mistakes Bahe for an Asian person that she used to know because he's, quote, Asian passing, he's impassive. He goes, yeah, work's been crazy. Ralph Barbosa, if you listen every day, you've heard me mention Ralph. He, out of this group, he and Nimish Patel's on this list as well. Barbosa's like right on the verge, if not already there. Barbosa's joke about climate change. We've turned the Earth into like a 99 Honda Civic. Yeah, I don't want this to die. This is my only ride, but I'm not going to keep putting money into this thing. You may recall Barbosa hit the news last year when George Lopez said, nobody knows who that MFer is. Why are you saying his name? Barbosa, seemingly unfazed, reposted the clip to his Instagram with a caption that read, it's all good, baby. The future is now, old man. Ralph Barbosa's first hour-long special, Cowabunga, on Netflix October 31st, so everyone will know who he is then. Next up, Charlie Bardley and Natalie Rotter-Lateman from Exploration Live. They teach their audience what it means to be a coffee shop celeb. That's when you enter a coffee shop and know the barista. It's a show about ideas, theories, axioms, and concepts. The smaller and more discreet, the better. Sophie Buttle on The Late Late Show with Gordon in 21. Sophie Buttle performed a bit about her boyfriend's schoolgirl fantasy that doubles as a metaphor of her comedic approach. She says, sometimes as a grown-up lady, you have to act like a little baby. It's weirdly a part of growing old. Vulture calls Buttle a smart and well-rehearsed comedian reminiscent of a young Sarah Silverman. Curtis Cook mixes the smart with the dumb, the vitamin K with the melted cheese, and that's led to producing comedies like This Fool and American Dad, writing for the Crank Yankers reboot, and a discussion of Kanye West that somehow got the Jim Jeffries Show audience on board with the idea of the Black Panther Party. Katrina Davis, her go-to move on stage is to turn one palm upward, cock her head, and squint her eye at the audience as if to say, I can't believe I have to explain this to you. I'll dive in more on that list tomorrow. Trevor Noah, my favorite topic right now. He shared a lengthy post on Instagram about his visit to India. Trevor shared a bunch of photos, and he left a message for those fans in Bengaluru. Remember the show that didn't go so well, and then he made some jokes, and then people were mad? You've been paying attention all week. Trevor wrote, what an experience it was coming and performing in your country for the first time. Thank you for sharing your rich history, your delicious cuisine, and your fantastic arguments with me. Thank you to everybody who came out to the shows in Delhi and Mumbai, because you made it truly unforgettable. Bangalore, our story isn't done. I'll be back, and next time we'll make sure it's the best show ever. In other Trevor Noah news, I told you I was Googling Trevor Noah. I mentioned that yesterday. He's one of the people I'm extra looking up this week. Trevor and Jacinda Ardern, remember her, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand? Yeah, you know who that is. They're going to the annual sustainability conference in Dublin in November. They'll be there together. Why? I don't know either. AIB Chief Executive Colin Hunt, great name, said the theme of this year's event would be, "It's time to act," reiterating the urgent action needed. Oh, there's a third Trevor Noah story. Deadline says that they're looking to make a UK version of LOL Last One Laughing. In the LOL Last One Laughing, comedians stay in a living room-style studio for several hours, during which they have to make the other comedians laugh by any means possible, while not reacting to the opponent's attempts to make them laugh. At the first laugh, you get a yellow card. If you get a second yellow card, it's like soccer. That's a red card, and then you're out. The only way to communicate with the outside is a telephone controlled by the host. Trevor Noah is going to host the South African version. For the UK version, they don't know who's going to host it. In Ireland, it will be hosted by Graham Norton. It's only a matter of time before that comes to the States. Nate Bargatze is launching the Nateland Company. That's a family-friendly content company that promises to entertain audiences of all ages. Based in Nashville, the Nateland Company will feature comedic content on its YouTube channel, including stand-up comedy special sketches, scripted content for film and TV, podcasts, music, and more. Nate, in the statement, said, "The Nateland Company is committed to producing high-quality content that inspires and entertains while upholding values of respect, kindness, and inclusivity with a focus on laughter, blah, blah, blah. Let's get to it." To kick things off, they're debuting Nateland Presents The Showcase, a series that spotlights a diverse array of up-and-coming comics. Hosted by Dusty Slay, Aaron Weber, and Brian Bates, taped at Zanies in Nashville. There will also be a podcast version of it. Nate's company has already produced 3 full-length comedy specials, including Mike Vecchione's The Attractives, Greg Warren's The Salesman, and Joe Zimmerman's cult classic. Very cool. I like Nate a lot. Matt Rife apparently has one major regret, according to Yahoo. That's his 2019 comment telling Pete Davidson to run from ex-girlfriend Kate Beckinsale. Rife said, "I gave that advice because I was only speaking from personal experience. Having been together and finding out that we weren't the most compatible match, I wanted to make sure that both of them were careful with their emotions and didn't head into something that they also wouldn't work out." Rife had a, quote, complicated year-long relationship with Beckinsale, who's now 50. That started in 2017, ended a year later. After that, apparently, Kate dated Pete Davidson. At that time, Rife offered some man-to-man dating advice, recapped by TMZ. That advice was, "Enjoy it while you can. Hope they're both happy." I don't know if he said it like this. "I hope it can build to where it's an established good relationship. I wish them both the best. Hope they're happy. I don't really have solid advice. Just be careful." Rife said, "I regret saying that. Pete, if you're out there, sorry I said that. Kate, I also apologize that I said that. I shouldn't have said that." The Rogue Island Comedy Festival is back tonight, baby, up in Rhode Island. Dan St. Germain doing 2 shows. Comedy Central Stand-Up Featuring back in New York City for its 14th season, showcasing the next generation of stand-up stars. The press release tells us Comedy Central continues to introduce the world to the sharpest and most distinct voices in comedy, and these special tapings will feature 6 to 10-minute short sets. It's at the Cutting Room in Manhattan. Starts tonight. 2 shows, 6:30 and 9. The shows are free. 21 and over. Who's playing? 6:30 show. Ayana Dukey, great name. Sam Morrison, Chinedo Unaka, Holmes, Randall Otis, Lucas Zilnick, and Kate Sisk. 9 o'clock show. Tommy Brennan, Grace Kulenschmidt, Usama Siddiqui, Mark Smalls, Mav Viola, Aisha Ward, Ethan Simmons-Patterson, and Eagle Witt. Zainab Johnson will have her first ever stand-up comedy special, Hijabs Off. That'll be on Amazon October 24th. It was recorded at the Harlem Stage in New York and explores her identity as a black female Muslim, having 12 siblings and growing up in Harlem. I thought this was interesting. Volkswagen did an advertisement for its electric car, and it was kind of wrapped up as a late-night comedy special. It aired on September 16th from 2 to 6 a.m., with late-night viewers seeing the brand spokesperson and Quebec comedian Pierre-Luc Funk perform improvised comedy sketches while waiting for his electric vehicle to charge. I don't know if you want to go out of your way to remind everybody it takes 4 hours to charge. And believe me, I'm a big climate change guy. I'm all in favor of us figuring out the electric car thing. But, 4 hours is going to be like, what? A 40-minute version of the special is now available for streaming on nouveau.ca, Noovo.ca, along with 4 smaller clips showcasing the best of Funk's sketches. The segment, titled, pardon my French, Sans Emission, something like that, except properly pronounced, was filmed in a single sequence using a soundstage that doubled as an EV charging station. Sans Emission has 2 meanings in Quebec. The first, no broadcast, indicating the overnight period when TV stations go dark, and no emission, a reference to the lack of greenhouse gases produced by electric vehicles. I spent some time in France in March of 2020, like, I don't know, 6 seconds before the pandemic. And my French was getting like, okay, like off my accent. Everybody knew that I was clearly not French. If I didn't speak, I could pass as a local. People were asking me for directions and they would come up and speak, very quickly to me. And I would just do the, I don't know what you're saying thing. But I was getting around. I was able to order food and stuff and read signs. A little rusty. There was this pandemic and I stopped working on my French. I was doing this Duolingo. I was all into it. It was pretty good. And then, I don't know, I got busy. But when we got to Charles de Gaulle Airport, and again, this was, did I say March? No, I lied. It was Valentine's Day weekend of 2020. When we landed at de Gaulle, there was a line that was like, are you from China? If you're in China, you get over there. They were like already not messing around. And I know I just like really did that forcefully. That's how it felt. It was like, are you from China? Get over there. And it was this whole separate line of people with masks and you guys stay the heck over there. We don't mix with everybody else. My visit was normal. But then about, I don't know, 3 days later was the night when the president closed all the airports, was like, oh yeah, you can't fly from Europe to America. Sucks to be you. And I was like, oh, glad I'm home. I digress. I was telling you about this thing that aired on French Canadian TV. The live stream was teased as if it were a real TV show starring the popular comedian, timed to coincide with the highly anticipated fall TV season in Quebec. One of the people behind it said, we had listings in the TV guide in advance of the live broadcast, so we really did treat it like entertainment. The BBC has canceled Upstart Crow, that was a David Mitchell series in which he played William Shakespeare. David Mitchell's hoping they can make more, he says, but at the moment, we lack a broadcast partner. At the moment, no one's saying they'll pay to make it, so we can make some more. I'm not pointing the finger at the BBC. There are other broadcasters. They could all get in touch. Reviews for this sitcom were mostly strong. Chortle says the once lukewarm Telegraph newspaper called the final regular episode farcically funny, but with a bittersweet twist. Good news for my wife. Only Murders in the Building has been renewed for a 4th season. I got home last night and she was watching the finale of the 3rd season and was like, yeah, I hope they renew it. And I'm like, don't worry, they will. I was right. That's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. Tell a friend about it. See you tomorrow.